Today on the Blazers Are Cool show, Brad and I have a semi-emergency State of the Blazers episode for you guys after that road trip ended 1-4 with that pretty bad loss to the Dallas Mavericks last night. I think there's a bit of panic going on around the fan base. It seems like our good start has been neutralized a little bit, but we'll just talk about where we feel the team is at, why these problems may be occurring, and how we can right the ship with the next couple of games moving forward. So settle in, hit a like for us if you can, hit a subscribe if you're new here. We appreciate you guys continuing to come back and listen to us talk about the Blazers. But without further ado, let's talk about how your Portland Trail Blazers are playing right now. Brad, it's been 3 more games since we've talked. The Blazers were 1-2 in those games, although I think it's a pretty disappointing 1-2 overall, especially after how last night went against the Dallas Mavericks, which I think is the game that we'll probably get into a little bit more than the others. But to refresh everyone, we did beat the New Orleans Pelicans, not by maybe as many as I hoped. But I do think that game was, I thought Derek Queen was incredible in that game. I thought we actually played pretty decent and they just kind of kept up. But anyways, followed that up by getting smacked around by the Rockets, who looked physically dominating against us in just about every way imaginable.
We still had good. What pisses me off about that game is we still had good moments.
Yeah.
Obviously, we lost by 30. And, I hate to suddenly, because, I've been in a state of depression about the team. I hate to switch it up and to suddenly be overly optimistic.
Yeah.
But God, all these games you see glimpses of there's something there.
A good team. The first half we were fighting. They were making shots and we were punching right back. I just think to expect us to be in a game like that against the best offense in the NBA for 48 minutes is just completely
inexcusable. Does Houston have the best offense in the NBA?
They do. They do have
That's crazy.
Better than the Nuggets somehow.
Wow.
And then we followed it up by a game in which I think if we had just won that game against the Mavericks in any fashion, especially given the players that we had in and out, if we had just won that game, I would have said road trip, good enough, pack it up, we're done, we're still over 500. But because that game ended in a loss, because it ended in a loss in the way it did, which to me is a bigger focus on the defense than on the offense, and I think was a good picture of the problems that we're having, which are, on that end of the floor. Because it went down that way that did, I feel like everyone's in a little bit more of a panic mode than I thought we were going to be in coming out of this road trip after finishing it 1-4, right?
Yeah. Well, I think one of the main reasons I initially, because actually right now I'm fine. It sucked and I'm mad and I hate our defense right now. I'm disappointed with our lack of identity, especially defensively. Actually, honestly, only defensively. But I was pretty happy to hear how the team was talking after the game, which kind of turned my mood around a little bit, because the worst part about that players meeting, I thought, was that, one, you hear the word players meeting and you think, oh, God, things are going to shit.
Yeah.
I have never once in my life heard of a good players meeting. It reminded me of my favorite players meeting of all time, where the Bulls 2 years ago had one after the first game.
Yeah. I do remember that.
One game in the season, all right, guys, we got to talk.
This ain't it.
But from the sounds of the players meeting, it went great.
Yeah.
It was less of a, oh my God, we're terrible and not getting along, and more of a let's prevent future blowouts.
Yeah.
Which is good.
Yeah.
And a humongous shout out to Jeremy. Let's get some positives out of the way, because I think we're gonna be complaining and whining and crying a lot during this. But shout out to Jeremy for putting together that meeting.
Yeah.
That blew my mind. For a guy who even we at the beginning, after the introductory press conferences, were like, is he kind of have a foot out the door? He's been one of our best players and supposedly, it looks like, our leader.
Yeah.
Totally. I think that was really awesome. Huge shout out. And as Jeremy Grant defenders, everything is going so smoothly for us. Not only is he playing better, but he's now this fearless leading, holding the squad together.
He's the glue guy. He's a glue guy we never thought we'd have.
But the reason I was super concerned after last night's loss was because anytime you follow a players meeting that supposedly went well, and Jeremy ended it by, they asked him, what would you see as this meeting being an accomplishment? And he said, a win tomorrow. against the worst team one of the worst teams in the West.
Yeah.
So a players meeting, which is usually disastrous, turned out fine. That ended in Jeremy saying we just need to win the next game against one of the worst teams in the league, and we lose. It's like, ugh,
Maybe
because
that was
that's
a
my least
failure.
favorite thing about that players meeting. This is what I was getting at. My least favorite thing about that players meeting is it put an insane amount of pressure, at least in my eyes,
Yeah.
on this game.
Yeah.
I was watching this game stressed because I thought if this doesn't go well after a players meeting, 12 games into a okay season, like this could be rough. But I don't know if you watched Humani's post game. It was like insanely positive.
Hmm.
It was awesome. He was like, "This is what like we're still 6-7. Like this is fine. Like we're figuring it out. We are a family. Blah 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 blah." And I was like, "Okay, this is just how it goes. Sometimes we're good."
Well, that is an interesting person for that positivity to come from in my eyes because to me, Tumani has been let's just put it this way. Like we were saying, this team is built on defense. And last night we went up
supposedly.
Right. It was going into the season. You and I stood on the fact that there's no way we're not a top 10 defensive team.
I thought for sure we were top 5. Do you know where we're at right now?
It's like in the 20s.
We're 21st now.
Yeah, which is absurd for this.
It's absurd.
And to me, Klingon has not been maybe as good or not having a breakout season like I thought, but he's been what we expected more or less.
Defensively, for sure.
Defensively. And so the other side of the coin, or not the other side of the coin, but the other piece of the puzzle, because we love our puzzles over here.
Oh, God, we can't get enough.
Tumani was supposed to be the other league best defender on this team taking a stand, and it feels like he has been just, again, we've talked about maybe like kind of it's like the defensive yips, but this whole thing of him trying to draw charges and offensive fouls has just turned him into this player that's just not doing his job at all.
Agreed.
And so I just think he encompasses what is happening with our defense, where we're not staying in front of people, we're not being disciplined, we foul more than almost anyone in the league. Last night was extremely indicative of that. We sent the Mavericks to the line 40 times. They only made 27 of those free throws, and we still couldn't win the game.
Yeah.
But last night was the most indicative of the problem because the Mavericks have a top 5 defense in the league going into last night.
Yeah. I don't know why I hear that, and I'm just like, no, they don't.
Yeah. Well, it's because it's all they can do. It's a bunch of people who can't score. It's a bunch of just big people who can play good defense.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Defensively.
Yeah. But
which I know we expected, but still.
On that team, we put up 118 in regulation, but we led up to what was described as the worst offense relative to other offenses in the NBA of that year of all time. Just about a week
say
ago.
that again. I don't think I get what you just said.
So the Mavericks offense relative to the rest of the offenses in the NBA.
I see. Really?
This season, at one point about a week and a half ago, was the worst relative offense in NBA history.
That's crazy.
Because they're not, like putting up 98 today is different than putting up 98 20 years ago, right?
Do the Thunder have the best defense relative?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought. Because I looked at last night, and they're like first with a 102 defensive rating. Second's like 109.
Yeah, it's like the Nuggets with 109. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Which is the difference with I've heard today between second and 20th.
Yeah, exactly.
Absurd. So the Mavericks, think of the Mavericks offense like the Thunder defense right now. That's how bad it was.
In a bad way.
In the opposite bad way.
They're dominatingly horrible.
Dominatingly horrible, and we let them put up 118 in regulation and score 20 points in 5 minutes in overtime. Like, that's awful. That's so terrible. So
it's egregious.
To fill you guys in, Brad and I were texting and having a conversation before this, and we were laying into Shaden about last night. Rightfully,
you and I were fighting.
Yeah, we were fighting. We were fighting about Shaden, and rightfully so. I mean, the 32 shots and shooting 12 to 32 is bad. It's obviously terrible.
It is.
But
not that it wasn't without its positives. We're not shitting on Shaden's whole game. It's like he had horrible stretches and he had really good stretches down the stretch. At the end of the game.
It just can't be the plan for Shaden to shoot 32 shots because he's just not an efficient shooter like that.
Exactly.
But then I think we both kind of got to this point at the end. It's like, why are we fighting about Shaden's missed shots? We just let the Dallas Mavericks hang 138 points on our head.
Exactly.
That if one more shot would have won the game, but stopping 5 of them and we blow this team out.
Yeah.
So ultimately, I think that's where our anxieties about the team come right now, is that
100%.
we should have these defensive pieces and they should be all playing together, but they're not doing the right things. They're not closing out. They're not rotating well at all. We're trying zone defenses, but we don't really know how to run them. We're putting in Caleb Love. What's happening? Like, there's so many question marks on that side of the ball that shouldn't be there. And you can maybe look at it from an optimistic side that we should put it together soon, because we should be better than that, and at least the offense is good, but it looks a little disastrous right now, and that's what scares me.
No, I 100% agree. And I, like you said, the thing that's been confusing to me is, well, honestly, it's everything. If we're looking at why we're a bad defensive team right now, because we're bad.
Yeah.
And we're a team that I think still right now, if you ask the average Blazer fan, it's like we're a defensive team. We have a defensive identity. We're 21st right now. And since that Nuggets game, which I think we could agree was actually, we had that Thunder game, of course. That was a huge win. That was awesome.
Yeah.
But since that Thunder game, I kind of see that as because that was the last game we had Blake and Matisse. I think Matisse actually missed that game and Blake got hurt in the third quarter. Since then we've been.
I actually think Matisse wouldn't play the Nuggets game, and I think Blake got hurt in the Nuggets game. So I don't think we had either.
The
Thunder game.
Blake got hurt in the third quarter, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Since then we've been 27th defensively.
Yeah.
So we are one of the worst defenses in the league currently. And like you just said, against one of the worst offenses ever, we got absolutely lit up. So it's confusing because we look at the roster of this team, and obviously Drew didn't play last night, but he's played the rest of the games.
Yeah.
He's one of the greatest defenders of all time. We have Tumanio, reigning All-NBA defensive team guy, the first guy to get it since Theo Ratliff in 2004.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to Theo. I met him when I was 7 at a Pee-wee basketball game. He was awesome. We have Klingon, who still statistically is like the best rim protector in the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
We have Jeremy, who has built a career supposedly off of being a defensive guy. We have Denny, who has always been seen as a solid, especially ISO one-on-one defender and a defender against bigger guys. And we are 27th. So it begs the question, why?
Yeah.
And it's confusing because it does not make sense on paper. But like you brought up, there's a lot of things that we're doing wrong. We're fouling a lot. We have what I think is an over-reliance on this 3-2 zone that basically, especially over the last 7 games. We've been running zones the whole season, but we've been using that 3-2 more than any time I've seen. Which, if you're running a 3-2 zone, it does 2 things. One, it leaves corner threes open. And you saw that, especially in that Rockets game. Drew was driving me insane. And I'm gonna drop some hard truths this podcast. And we're not. There's this weird thing I think culturally Blazer fans where we think anytime you say anything bad about someone, it's hating. We're not hating, but when you're 27th in the league defensively, you can't keep saying Drew's been awesome defensively. You can't keep saying Shaden's been great. You can't keep saying Tumani's been great. You can't keep saying Denny's been great. Because most people are saying, oh, no, individually, they've been good. We're 27th in defense. But it's that 3-2 defense that just leaves those corner threes open. Because that's how you do it. You put 5, like I was saying, especially against the Rockets, you just put Jabari Smith in the corner. It stretches out the defense. It neutralizes Klingon. Because if you're playing a 2-3, the center is underneath the hoop.
Yeah.
I mean, you're playing a 3-2. Those guys are now stretching out to the corner. And Klingon, shockingly, has been our best 3-point defender on this team. This is my most interesting stat of the year, that Klingon guards the most threes on the team and also has the lowest opponent field goal percentage. So he guards the most threes, and he's the best at it. It's shocking. But that reliance on the 3-2 and the half-court defense is kind of destroying us because we don't have guys who are closing out all that much. And Drew is the guy that I noticed mostly in that Rockets game. There's 3 straight possessions where he sunk the defense in when they were driving because, he's playing the outside of the 2. He's playing one of the 2s. And they kick out to the corner 3 guy, and we just don't close out.
Yeah.
So to me, it's a weird mix of lack of closing out, which is such a simple thing, and it drives me insane. And shout out to Shaden, who I actually think shockingly has been the best guy closing out defensively on this team.
Yeah.
Him and Klingon. Klingon also shouldn't be the best closeout guy. He's 7'3", 800 pounds. He should not be the one who's closing out faster and more with more effort than anyone on the team.
Yeah.
And it's also to me what did I cut me off if I forgot to, because I like bringing up things, not finishing them. But also it seems to be a balance between deciding if we're relying more or prioritizing more our speed offensively or our defensive identity.
Yeah.
Because we're either not closing out or it's like we're making up for it and doing it too much and fouling guys when we're sinking into the paint on defensive drives. But also it's like we're always ready to get out and run offensively. Yeah. It seems like we're having a tough time balancing that. And Thiago seems like he is prioritizing speed offensively more than anything else.
Yeah, I think I would agree. I think I think we and other people in this Blazers media space had some trepidations, throwback word to another, about playing this aggressive style of defense and it working so well because you're having a historic season of turning the ball over. And then what does that look like when you're not doing that? Because we haven't been turning teams over that much anymore. And that makes sense because of a lot of the guys we've lost, I guess you could say. But I think what we're doing is still kind of trying to play that gamble defense. And like I said, with Tumani, he's trying to do that. Drew, I think, is diving for steals and trying to double team on those drives. And then it's just a simple kick out. And maybe that's the easier play to do, is to just go for that steal. And he's probably pretty good at it. But I think we're just doing those and then thinking that that's okay. And that's playing good defense, and it's just leaving people wide open. And it's like, I don't know. I think it's happened a couple times where felt like Desmond Bane's been struggling all year. He had an awesome game against us. Klay Thompson last night had been terrible all year, coming off the bench now, and he just lit it up against us. Like it's reminiscent of the Dame Blazer days where every player we play against is dropping a career high on us because we're not doing the right thing. And I think we're just honest. We're in these games because Denny's been awesome on the offensive end of the floor. Jeremy's making his shots. Shaden had a really rough shooting night last night on 32 shots, but he had
stretches that keep us in games.
He had two great games that, in the Orlando game and in the Pelicans game kind of won it on the back of him having a great night, right? So, we just shouldn't have to rely on that. It shouldn't be like Denny's 27 and Shaden's 12 of 18 night is what gets us the narrow win. It's like Denny's 27 and Shaden's 12 of 18 night should be a blowout, and their off nights should be a close win because the defense is doing well. And so it's just weird. It feels like, I don't know. It feels like when I watch this on defense, we're content to just kind of fly around and hope these things happen. But I don't know. There's guys playing great individual defense. Chris Murray is holding it down on that end of the floor unbelievably. Like we said, Klingon's doing well. And we know that even Shane's been playing decent defense for his sake, but it just feels like that's kind of been crumbling as of late recently too. I did not like his defensive performance last night. I thought he was a little all over the place.
I thought he was terrible. Yeah. I know, that's why, which goes back to what we were saying about how stupid it is right now to be talking about the offense. Because I understand it, because it's always easier to watch offense to interpret offense, I guess, than it is defense. Because anyone can watch an offense and be like, that was good, that was bad.
Yeah.
It's genuinely harder, and we're not experts on it, but we try to be at judging defense, what's going wrong defensively. And the other thing that we haven't brought up enough is that I'm okay with small ball. It's worked at times really well this season, but Thiago also seems to have a complete reliance and prioritizes it more than anything. And which is also weird to say, because I know Klingon played 28 minutes last night, but it's when he's playing those 28 minutes that is kind of bothering me.
Yeah.
Because we got absolutely lit up in the paint. Like you said, 1 million free throws, 1 million layups.
Especially down the stretch.
Especially down the stretch when Klingon was sitting. I don't know, because I think the Klingon's the only guy I can say has been consistently good defensively. And that's with what I think is a scheme that is sort of neutralizing him. Like I said, that 3-2 is not working in Klingen's favor. It's basically saying, Klingen, we want you to be a guy who guards, who closes out on threes. It's not giving him much of an opportunity to be that guy by the paint who's just dominating and by guarding the rim, which, we've seen that work really well. I think of that first quarter against the Heat when we got up 1-0. It was because we were basically keeping Klingen down in the paint and allowing basically the paint to be just not a place where the other team can even think about going. And we did try that for a bit last night, and this is where I got annoyed with Tiago's rotations, because I think what he was thinking, because they started killing us in that like mid post, because Klingen was sitting by the hoop, which he should, and like we said, he's been great as a closeout 3-point shooter, but they started getting a lot of like fadeaway mid-range shots. That Cooper was hitting. Even Brandon Williams hit a couple, and I think he saw that and was like, oh, that's not working. But which boggled my mind, because there's no such thing as a perfect defense. It absolutely neutralizes every single thing the offense is doing. You kind of got to pick and choose what shots you want the other teams to take. And I thought that mid-post shot was a shot that we would want the other team to take. And they lit us up with it with Klingen in the game for a tiny bit.
Yeah.
But that's kind of the shot you bank on them not keeping up with as the game goes on.
I think giving a team a mid-range shot period in today's NBA is a good shot for a defense.
Yeah.
I think just
exactly 100%. And it was working for them, because I think it's Jason Kidd's entire like coaching principle is just to attack like any openings. Because like you saw, it's why Shaedon had such a rough defensive game last night. Is because for the first time all season, I thought he was actually hunted. I thought they were like, get Shaedon on our scores as often as you can, which we haven't seen at all this year, I think. I think Shaedon's been a solid off-ball defender. That's kind of where he's been. And we haven't seen him have to be a one-on-one defender. That's usually going to Denny. That's usually going to Tumani and those guys. But we saw Shaedon have to do that last night, and he really, really struggled. And we saw them in the same way defensively. You saw them trying to, exploit the weakness of the mid post, because we had Klingen by the hoop, and they did a really good job of it. But that's also, like we said, the shot that you don't bank on them making throughout the game, especially down the stretch, because there's no such thing as no offense gets any shots up.
Yeah, for sure.
So it was frustrating to me to see Tiago seemingly not be, stray away from Klingen because we were giving up those mid-post shots. Because, like, what shots do you want to give up then?
Yeah. I mean, I've been higher on Tiago than most as of those first handful of games went. Because, we beat the Nuggets and the Thunder, where we might be the only team all season who can say that. That's not out of the realm of possibility.
I think, are we still the Thunder's only loss?
We're still the Thunder's only loss.
I think we are the only team who can say that.
I mean, the Thunder might go 81-1, so that's really what it is. So, there was good, but I do agree. I think and again, injuries are a big thing. They're a big thing with any team, and they're definitely hurting us right now, especially when they're all to our point guards, which just makes things difficult. But I don't see it as enough of an excuse to warrant a loss like that last night.
Agreed.
And to not pass the eye test enough for us on defense, at least.
Would you agree with me that we look like we're too ready to run?
Yeah.
Like, that's kind of what I'm seeing defensively. It's like we're more like we're getting in position, especially defensive rebounding wise. We are so awful defensive rebounding wise. I know Klingen gets a lot of the slack for that, but I think he's been, even though I think he hasn't been great, obviously, I think he's the only guy who's trying to get defensive rebounds. No one else is boxing out. And it seems, again, like the priority is to get out and run. And I assume it seems like that's Tiago's whole game. So that's where I put a little bit of, a lot of blame on him, where it seems like we're playing defense ready to run. It reminds me of the 7 seconds and less Suns without Steve Nash, without Stoudemire, without Sean Marion. And it's we just got really dark. And it's bothering me because I don't think that makes sense with our team right now. And I think maybe it makes sense if we have more of that depth, but I'm disappointed that we're seeing so much 3-2 zone, which neutralizes Klingen. And I'm so disappointed to see that we're seem to be prioritizing our fast offensive identity over our what should be top 5 defense identity.
Yeah, there's actually a graph that I came across the other day that proves that. It's like it was a time to cross half court, like how much time on the shot clock is left when you cross half court, and it's like 29 of the teams like in kind of like a linear downwards angle to like 20 seconds of being the fastest one, and then we're like 21 and a half seconds, like clear and above or away from everyone else. So I think that proves your point. We're just trying to go, and it's just making us not set and not finish a defensive play, finish a defensive rebound. So I think you're right there.
And to me, that's like, in some ways, I would say that's a good thing. And it's why I was also so happy that even though Tumani's been bad defensively too, I was happy to hear that it sounds like it's less of a issue with guys getting along or effort. It's more this just figuring out how we want to play.
Yeah.
And I put that more on Tiago than I do the players, which I'm always going to be happy if it seems like the players are giving full effort, because that's always when things feel awful, is when the players give up.
Yeah.
Not that Tiago's giving up, but I just think that hopefully he makes some adjustments quick. But I'm worried that he's not gonna, because he seems to prioritize the speed of the offense more than anything.
Yeah. Well, we'll see.
Also, one last thing. Because we talk a lot about Tumani. We're talking about how he's been bad defensively, which I think he has been. I want to see Tumani be more of the guy who's, kind of our sole full court press guy. Because that's what he was last year in the second half of the season. We know, even though we've kind of gone away from the full court a little bit, it was more of a team full court. I thought it made more sense as we were doing last season, when we were going, Tumani's basically our sole presser.
Right.
We don't bring anyone else back. It was just Tumani picking guys up full court. We don't really do that anymore. And you can see that because as I was texting you about this, B-Ball Index just put out all of their first drop of data, I guess. And the most it was, which I love that website because I think it is easily the best data tracking contextualized stat website out there, because you can always look at like cleaning the glass plus minus on off, which are good stats if you know the context, but if you don't know the context, they aren't. And what I love about B-Ball Index is they have that context kind of built in. What's cool about this is I feel like it affirmed a lot of what I was seeing, and that is that, guys like Jethro, Tumani, they're struggling defensively. And I don't, again, think that's because they're not good defensive players. They clearly are, but it seems to be because they're struggling in their role in what we're trying to accomplish. And the most surprising thing I saw is how much less Tumani is guarding point guards as opposed to last season. Last season, he was in like the 97th percentile or something of guarding opposing teams' point guards, because that was his role. His role is to guard the initial ball handler up the court to delay and disrupt the start of the offense. And the defense was basically, he does that. Their offense gets kind of screwed up, or they get past him, and then we have Klingon to, make up for it in the paint, and it worked beautifully.
Yeah.
And we had Jeremy and we had Denny to, play their roles both as off-ball and one-on-one defenders. Now we're seeing Tumani this season statistically guard point guards a whole lot less, which starts to beg the question of what exactly is his identity. Because this season, the opposing players are shooting much better on Tumani than they are on average. They're shooting something like 6% better when they're guarded by Tumani, which, that's a tough stat sometime to really put a lot of faith in. But when you're talking about guys who are isolation defenders or paint protectors like Klingon, it does work because they do a lot of one-on-one defense, and that's a good way to judge how effective they are. But players are shooting better with Tumani guarding them. He's guarding point guards a lot less, which to me, from my role, or from my eyes, Tumani's role is basically just a guy who draws charges, who tries to commit offensive fouls, and who gambles a lot to try to get those.
Yeah.
He's no longer the guy he's still guarding the other team's best player, but he's not guarding the other team's primary ball handler coming up the court. And I think that's where we're really struggling, because we don't have that initial disruptor in Tumani anymore. We're having him play farther back and try to do more stuff off of charges and drawing offensive fouls, because he's really been struggling with screens this year.
Yeah.
And the data today that came out confirms that he's been really bad around screens. It's because when you put Tumani in that half court, they can now utilize that. We just put a screen on him, even though he's strong. He's just not quite agile enough to get around those screens, and that's where he's struggling because we're not using him guarding that full court and picking up the other team's point guard to disrupt their offense. And I think that's where that's just struggling.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it would explain a lot of his problems because, again, I don't think we're feeling that impact that Tumani's had for a long time. And again, I mean, when your coach gets arrested by the FBI and a new comes in, there's obviously going to be issues. And I think a lot of us thought that, myself included, thought it was maybe a better thing that Chauncey was gone and Tiago's in. And I think that can still be true and maybe still is, but there's challenges that come with it. And Chauncey did spend 4 years trying to build a defense, which probably took a lot longer than it should have, but it felt like he actually got there. And then now maybe some things are unwinding in that front. All of that being said, I think we come back home. Ultimately we're a young team that has some flaws, that has people out. A 1-4 road trip is not the end of the world, especially with the biggest ray of sunshine in my mind is that every team that is not in the play-in right now is falling apart at the seams.
Exactly.
So
that's the
we are not. If you want to at least just feel better about yourself for today before we play another game, just be happy that we're not the Kings, the Clippers, the Grizzlies, the Pelicans, or the Mavericks. I know the Mavericks just beat us, but I still think
I'm happy we're not that team.
We're happy we're not the Mavericks, right? So ultimately, ton of basketball still left to play. We have 2 big games coming up. I think the Suns game is really big because I think the Suns are a team that we thought we were going to be better than and are actually – they've had a really easy schedule, but they've beaten the brakes off the bad teams they should.
Sure.
Devin Booker's playing at an all-NBA level.
Yep.
It's a team that will take advantage of us on our defensive end of the floor if we don't step up. And kind of the same with the Bulls. I mean, the Bulls are in a similar boat of us where they had a good start. They had a really good start and have since lost a bunch in a row. So these are 2 teams, a back-to-back on Tuesday and Wednesday, where these are teams that if we beat the both of them, I think we'll feel really good because it'll show that we are at least like a step above of these other teams who have question marks, right? Sure. And so their wins, their wins against teams on our level. And I think that will mean more than, if we had squeaked out those Heat Magic games on the road. Those are tough ones to win, but we lost those. It's okay. So these are really good. What I'm trying to say is these are really good opportunities to get back on track, get right. They're winnable games that would feel like good wins no matter how they come, even if it's close, right?
Yeah.
So I'm excited for these 2 games. I think we can figure ourselves out now that we're coming back home. Hopefully Drew plays and we kind of, get the momentum back and going. But ultimately, just a long road stretch. It's tough to win in the NBA. That's kind of how I feel.
Yeah, I still feel pretty good about this team because of how high spirits everyone seems to be in, how we're, in my eyes, just still adjusting to how we want to play, especially with all the injuries that we've had. And again, that adjustment or that balance I think we're struggling with is just deciding how fast we want to play and balancing that with still being a committed defensive identity, because that is a hard thing to do. I don't know, what is the Thunder's pace? Do they have a high pace?
I don't think so. I think they're probably
I just hope that what I hope to see is not us lose that pace, but understand that the best way, and I've heard Tiago say this, so I think it's just the guys getting used to, and like I said, trying to balance it. But I hope we start prioritizing getting that pace from getting stops.
Yeah.
That we're not going to play fast until we get those stops, because I think that will make us lock in more. Where it's like, yeah, we want to play fast, but we're not going to play fast until the ball's in our hands off of a missed shot.
Totally.
I hope that comes with seeing Drew close out more, which I think he's been the worst closer outer on the team. I think he's been really good one-on-one and, creating steals. I hope we see Klingon play a little bit more by the hoop and not stretch out to the perimeter. I hope we see Tumani be more of a guy who just guards point guards more, because Tumani's honestly not that great at guarding bigger wings. And he kind of never really has been. He's so good at using his size and length against smaller defenders. So let's just stick him on those guards and make him terrorize them that way. And I think if we do those things, which I expect us to, I think we're going to go to things that work better because we sort of have to. Because again, we're one of the worst defenses in the league right now.
Yeah.
And that with guys coming back from injury, Drew, Scoot, hopefully soon, Matisse, hopefully in the next month or two or whatever. Blake, I'm not sure when. And just the fact that we're still clearly in the play-in is like the best thing ever.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing. Our goal this season was play-in.
Yeah.
We could start playing even worse, and I still think we'd make the play-in.
Yeah. Yeah. It's hard.
So we're in a good spot.
It's hard. There's definitely 6 teams in the West right now that are playing some unbelievable ball. But there's, again, like we said, there's 5 teams in the West who are playing really god-awful ball and are playing with that dejected spirit, that like lack of effort, that lack of congruence as a team that we don't feel that the Blazers have right now. We feel like we are a team that is maybe bonded by trauma, you could call it, but is playing together, playing hard, and has a really steady veteran presence in the locker room that isn't feeling like there's any sort of wheels falling off. It's more just feeling like these are guys who have really never had to win before and are learning how to win. And at the end of the day, we've been in every single game except for against the Rockets. We're just not really pulling it out in the crunch time. And the side of the ball that we thought was going to be our identity looks bad. So there's a lot of room for growth. Like, we thought this offense was going to look god-awful, and it really doesn't.
The offense looks fine.
The offense is fine. We miss a lot of shots, but we shot the ball 112 times last night.
Which is another reason why I couldn't believe we benched Klingon, because there was like a play where he got 4 straight, 2 different plays where he got like 4 straight offensive rebounds and tips, and it's like, God, dude, Thiago, what are you doing?
It's crazy. So let's I don't think anyone's panicking, but I think these next 2 games, if we win both of those, I think everyone will be extremely fired up again, and we'll feel like we have the fire. So let's go get those. Thank you guys for listening to this, semi-emergency podcast, State of the Blazers, where we just kind of unleash our thoughts. I think we'll try to come back to you guys after this back-to-back. Hopefully it's a positive one. Maybe if we do lose both of these, it'll be a little bit more panicky. I think we could definitely put it. But appreciate you guys listening as always. You got anything else, Brad, for the people?
Blazers are cool.
They're cool. Even when they lose to the Mavericks, they're still cool.
We're still cool.
All right. Thank you guys. Talk to you later.
See you.